comparing the personalities of the two brothers, I think John was willing to take chances, and he speculated. John speculated in all sorts of things, in his finances and in property. He was a great property owner in Bristol and builder of apartments and hotels and that sort of thing. And Nat never engaged in that. He was far more conservative.
The differences in their personalities benefited the running of the company. John, the outgoing businessman, dealing with suppliers and clients, and Nat, the quiet genius, allowed to design and oversee the construction of his creations. Ironically, these differences between the brothers may have ultimately contributed to the demise of the partnership. An argument between the brothers resulted in John leaving the company. John died 2 weeks later.
Captain Nat had experienced ill health in about this time period.
After a period in the hospital in New York, I went to Bermuda in the last of January 1915 to build up and did more sailing. I came home in April to a trying summer.
On his return from Bermuda, he discovered, of course, that things had begun to gear up here at the yard with regard to an speculation order on building torpedo boats for the Russian government. And I do know he conferred with John on this matter.
John was seeing the future of the company in a different light than that. Behind closed doors, the brothers discussed the expansion that John wanted to pursue.
Knowing Captain Nat, as I have from study, there is no way that he wanted to engage in any kind of speculation of that sort. And he probably would not agree to signing the contract. And they were a partnership. And J.B. needed his signature, and I assume that is the reason he wouldn't sign. This must have been devastating.
When it had originally been formed, the business was set up with a very simple compact between the brothers, and part of the agreement was that they would never borrow money, that they would build the best possible product, pay all their bills on time, and never borrow money. And I think that when the idea of enlarging the business greatly came about, that Captain Nat didn't feel it was appropriate for them to do so, mainly because he didn't want to borrow the money.
Regretfully, the day of that dispute would be John's last day at the company.
In that same summer, he'd been feeling poorly, and he did die of acute dilation of the heart, according to the death certificate. I know there's always the speculations about having died of the result of the interview, died of a broken heart. Some people like to, of course, that's somewhat impossible.
John and Nat's lifelong partnership in boat building had reached its conclusion. It was the end of a relationship, and the end of an era that only two brothers, who were more than business partners and more than childhood playmates, could have achieved.
John was soul. He was one of a kind, and there would never be anybody that would ever suit Nat Herreshoff.
Not having or caring for business ability and not finding anyone that appeared fit and capable to take John's place to manage the business end of the company, I reluctantly consented to sell the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company, and 1917 saw the end of what had been a wonderfully successful enterprise in small craft construction.
Captain Nat retired in Coconut Grove, Florida, where for the first time in his life, he pursued leisure activities. The HMC continued under various owners until 1944. On returning to Bristol in 1938, the year of his death, One can't help but wonder about Nat's reflections. Could he have been thinking of John's favorite poem by Longfellow? Often I think of the beautiful town that is seated by the sea. Often in thought go up and down the pleasant streets of that dear old town, and my youth comes back to me. I remember the black wharves and the slips, and the sea tides tossing free, and the beauty and the mystery of the ships, and the magic of the sea. And a verse of a Lapland song is haunting my memory still. A boy's will is the wind's will, and the thoughts of youth are long, long thoughts. Today on the old site of the HMC lies the America's Cup Hall of Fame and the Herreshoff Marine Museum, two testaments in time to John and Nat. Amazingly, a few miles down the road is today's preeminent America's Cup boat builder, Eric Gertz. His principles of quality, craftsmanship, and the use of cutting-edge technology are strikingly similar to that of the Herreshoffs.
This town has a big history a very long history of building very high-tech, very competitive racing yachts. And started with the Herreshoffs, and hopefully we're carrying on that tradition. We build high-tech composite boats here. We use high-temperature curing epoxy resins and carbon fiber laminates. Our appreciation for technology and the fact that Nat pushed the envelope of the materials that he used in his time, and we're pushing the envelope of the materials that we use in our time. Those are the real similarities. And the appreciation for advancing technology and what it can do and how much enjoyment one can get about working with advanced materials. Those are really things that tie us to the Herreshoffs. So if we keep progressing, keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing technology, and learning as we do that, we'll stay ahead of the curve, we'll stay ahead of our competition. Whether you're building wooden boats or high-tech boats, at the level at which we're building and at the level of custom-made wooden boats, basically attention to detail and really taking care to make sure everything fits right, everything is put together in a very precise way. Those are the elements that are really, from a craft standpoint, very common.
From modern-day carbon fiber and heat-treated epoxies to yesterday's cross-cut sails and diagonal strapping, from two brothers sharing a lifelong dream of building the best boats in the world to the construction of an America's Cup Defender. Over the years, materials and designs may change, but the lessons of excellence remain the same.